here is our first player, Smart Omega's Jules, going off with his top three characters, Jin, Bob, and Claudio. We have seen some of these characters come out on his end, even the Marduk pick as well, and it proved a little bit off for him, but he did manage to round out his playstyle in the end.
And talking about Jules, he is definitely one of the most defensive-minded players on the roster. His punishment has been absolutely excellent, as we've seen from his track record. His low parry and his clutch percentage has been off the charts as well, especially with that Jin, his signature Jin.
We know him as that. We definitely know him as that. We definitely know him as the main Jin player here in the Nationals. He loves this character, but he does bring out his Bob from time to time. He has a win rate of 62%, and he does have a few other characters under his belt that he occasionally throws out just in case. But we're going to take a look once again at our next player, which is STIE Olympics Don Argus, who we just saw earlier take a match against Brent E Pro's Maru with this Eliza pick.
Talking about Don Argus, we've said a lot of things about him prior to the break, but now his challenge is how is he going to adapt to the playstyle of Jules, who is, I would believe, be the most patient player here, does not move at all, he doesn't press when he doesn't have to, so it's going to be a tough challenge for Don Argus to open him up.
We know that Jules is one of those types of players who has plenty of knowledge against matchups and completely labs options against those characters. And as we can see in the game record, it is heavily on Jules' side with a 4-1 game record against STIE Olympics Don Argus. But who knows? Considering the momentum that Don Argus is on in these matches that he's been having, maybe it's going to be a different story this time around.
Yeah, Don Argus has been playing in tip-top shape as we've seen from the previous episode, and now, meanwhile, we have the player cams once again. Don Argus might give another very wholesome shout-out. Meanwhile, Smart Omega's Jules is very focused as we know him, rocking that very, very good-looking jacket.
It certainly does look amazing, and Don Argus seems to be looking somewhere, giving a side profile for the viewers here. Actually, who knows who... I'm not sure who he's talking to, but maybe it is his family who he gave a shout out to earlier. So these athletes are getting ready for their matches, preparing themselves, steeling themselves for the battle that is about to happen. Especially, I know Don Argus, despite the smile that he is showing right now, I know he's already formulating a game plan that he will be able to use against Jules.
Or maybe he was staring Jules down. He was just staring him down from across the internet, and Jules wasn't aware of this. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be a big challenge considering the patience and the things we've mentioned before. And Jules might actually throw a curveball. He might pick Marduk against Eliza. Marduk has, although he is a bit of a slow character, his damage is, well, it's almost second to none, you know?
Yes, we know that Don Argus would probably come out swinging in the first parts of the match. Jules definitely wants the damage advantage if he wants to strike some fear into Don Argus and make him completely stop in his tracks. So hopefully we do get to see it, but I won't put it past Jules to just stick with his comfortable pick of Jin Kazama.
Yeah, and I would say that maybe Don Argus has ruled out the possibility of playing Heihachi against Jules, because a bit of lore here, Jules is also a very, very solid Heihachi player. He does know this matchup very well, so knowing Don Argus, I might just have to stick with the very potent and very explosive Eliza that he's brandished throughout most of his national stint.
And of course, here are our athletes once again. The Eliza is proving effective to the different players of the that Don Argus has come up against. Now, Jules, of course, this is going to be his first time appearing in today's matches, so he is still pretty fresh. Don Argus is trying to make it work once again, but Jules not quite going for the full tilt there, and I don't think he recognizes what Don Argus is trying to do. But still, Don Argus getting some good poses there. You know, you might want to take a few shots of that.
And I think Jules is also staring him down. It's like, you know what? I ain't having none of this. But honestly, it's also great how there's just this sense of even though they're playing against each other, they're still friends at the end of the day. But you still want to play to win. You don't want to slouch at all in the nationals, especially on a stage this grand, Poru.
And with a conference this short, there are no second chances this time around, only this time. And you don't want to be losing the points that, you don't have to lose. You can't take those risks. You have to play to win in every single match, because as we have experienced in the past, it is quite difficult to get back to qualify for the playoffs in the end if you are short on points, especially with a competition this stacked.
Stacked is such a great word to name all these players. As I mentioned, this is, I believe, one of the most competitive rosters we've had on the Nationals. It seems like you look at the scoreboard, you look at the rankings, it's like, oh, well, we have players on the bottom of the scoreboard, but the numbers don't actually just tell the whole story. Although they lost, but it wasn't a beatdown.
It certainly wasn't, and every time that they do lose, they always come back stronger, as we can see with Don Argus. And you did mention that it is quite a competitive roster this time around. In the past, whenever new characters come in, they kind of get smothered with the pressure, and they crumble at the first. But all the new players that have come here, they actually showed so much promise and so much fighting spirit. To some degree, we know Nature Lover. He is a seasoned player and coach as well, so he knows how things work. Pika as well. Not only is he a coach, he has also been seeing things from the best seats in the house as a previous caster, and even Rock and Roll, who actually sets foot for the first time in the Nationals. Well, he has been showing some amazing matches against some of the top players in the Nationals. So exciting matches from the past few days that we have been doing this whole thing.
That's right. Absolutely fearless. Us all players are going to get into more Tekken action, but we have to focus on Smart Omega's Jules and, of course, the E-Olympian known as Don Argus. Moving into Suk here. And we actually don't see a Jin. We get the Claudio. Exorcise thy demons.
Mm-hmm. There's a bit almost like a lore type battle here, though not quite exactly lore, but the exorcism background of Claudio might help him against this vampire that Eliza is. Or maybe, Don Argus might just walk away with a win and just sleep on him like the narcoleptic vampire that Eliza is.
And the damage is proving to be quite dangerous for Jules, as he does take the initial brunt of this salvo, and he gets interrupted as well. Don Argus, once again, showing no fear pressing these buttons.
Just completely overwhelming Jules right now in the first round, and Don Argus, he is feeling himself. He is in the groove with this Eliza, especially considering that he was just in a match earlier on. Perhaps the engine is still warm and the fuel tank still has a lot of gas left in it.
Definitely, but knowing Jules, he is the Terminator of the Omegas. Actually, both Omegas Terminators, but Don Argus looks like he is at the cusp of losing this round, and it is all tied up.
One round apiece, and now Jules immediately putting a stop to Don Argus, gets that running too, already has that starburst, so gotta be careful, doesn't pull the trigger there and spin Eliza around, but Don Argus takes the opportunity to return the favor.
And beautiful adjustment for the wall here, trying to go for the cross-up, but Jules does not bite for this. Now he's just trying to zone out from the back one. No punish on the whiff, that EX dive kick there.
It is pretty fast to react to, but still, Jules is probably relieved just to have Eliza lose that meter. He does get this kill combo, and he's gonna take a second round for himself. Now, Don Argus, how is he gonna respond?
Yep, he is close to a blood meter here, so he does have a lot of tools to retaliate with, but Jules, his onslaught has been stopped by the ever so adamant Don Argus with his offense.
Tries to go for that Oki option there, burns the meter once again, gets a combo this time, pushes Jules all the way to the wall. Oh my goodness, did you see that? Now Jules is hanging by a thread, burns the rage drive.
Ooh, big exchange there.
Very nice work, Don Argus sealing the deal on that second round. Now it's down to the ropes once again. There's the DP, tries to go for the homing. Jules with a quick poke. The dive kick not quite gonna land for Don Argus this time around.
And this is a lot faster paced compared to the previous rounds we've seen, but of course that is the trend of today. Another big counter hit on the side of Don Argus. This is a bit uncharacteristic of Jules, getting caught out by so many counter hits, but the Genocide Cutter will swing it in his favor.
And now he has Don Argus right where he wanted to, and he's not going to be letting him go anytime soon. Don Argus is fighting back though, gets that EX dive kick, but the wall is going to ruin his opportunity there. Oh, last chance for Don Argus, for both players actually. 18 seconds left, and that beautiful homing. from Jules takes him down. Don Argus is put a full stop by the smart Omega here.
Gets hit by the fly swatter there, just trying to do slide into a Jules territory. And one thing that Jules is so good at is controlling the space and making the opponent uncomfortable. Now, again, these athletes, they're professionals. They know what they're doing, but Jules is just super uncanny with mastering the range.
Mm-hmm. And and finding ways to actually get around what the opponent wants to do against him. We've said this many times before. He has the knowledge, and he spends hours in the lab getting that knowledge. Especially when you actually know that you're going to go up against Don Argus anyways, you know that he's probably studied the Eliza matchup, and it showed that's probably why he chose this Claudio as well, just to completely negate the Eliza pick that Don Argus has in store for him.
Definitely, but since he is on the receiving end of the loss, I feel like Don Argus is gonna go opt for the Kinder Gym once again. We've seen that these previous matches, but just trying to open up Jules has proven to be quite a dangerous task. Although he has clipped Jules with a lot of very big counter hits, it hasn't really swung in his favor, and the momentum has remained on Jules' side. So it's going to be a game of adjustments this time around.
It certainly is. And Don Argus has to regain his composure. He was missing quite a few things there in the last match, even wasting some of his meter in some occasions. But as soon as he manages to get the hang of things once again, get that range right on this Eliza, he has the potential of actually turning things around against this Claudio of Jules, and it's his opportunity to do so. But as you mentioned, Jules, he is a machine when it comes to adapting to his opponents. So it's going to be a challenge for Don Argus to completely subvert every expectation that Jules has coming into this match.
Talking about his Claudio, I feel like Claudio is one of the more unique characters in the game with his Starburst. Although he does have a very basic toolkit, he does have, the very modern hop kick. He has stagger low with a down back 3. Pretty decent DF1 and pretty decent down 4. I'd say like his Starburst is like his mini meter where it gauges how offensive he can go. And Don Argus really just has to be very aware of that. Jules had wasted none of those Starbursts that presented it to himself,
Yeah, if you think about it as a meter, it's kind of cheap, isn't it? Because as soon as you land one hit, he already has the meter, and it makes Claudio so much more dangerous. He has that mid launcher, and he also has the gravity low. That is also a launcher actually, but it is blockable with the second hit. But it takes a lot of effort to do so, especially in an environment like in this Nationals, which is played online. So that is a bit of a challenge for Don Argus. Once those hands of Claudio start glowing, it's a bit terrifying actually.
And it's really dangerous how well Jules can enforce his plus frames there. But knowing Don Argus, it's not really plus. You're thinking about the wrong thing. I have the EXDP.
I'm not really playing Tekken. It's actually 2D here. Can you see my bar is going at the bottom right of your screen? You have to be careful. You have to make sure. Maybe I'm gonna go for the DP. You don't know. And earlier on, we were playing in Souk as well, so it was quite a small stage, and Jules couldn't risk just making any sort of mistake going into that match. But still, he did manage to make it work. But Don Argus has to pull himself together.
I feel like Don Argus is at a crossroads here. Either he has to risk getting a bad matchup using his Heihachi, or just kind of force the issue with his Eliza as he's done in the past. But it does seem like none of the cheeky stuff you usually see connect is working on Jules. So you might just have to fare with a meterless character, a legacy character nonetheless in Heihachi.
But there is also one other possibility on Don Argus. We keep talking about his Eliza, we keep talking about his Heihachi, but what if throughout all these matches, these months at least of downtime, he has picked up a different character in this game? And who knows, maybe suddenly he pops out a Leroy as well, or a Fakumram, considering how popular those characters are in the competitive scene.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if everyone had a pocket Leroy. Leroy is just a problem, honestly. It's just so much strength in one character. And talking about Leroy, much like a metered character, he can contest your plus frames with his parry. That makes him so dangerous. You have to be scared of your own plus frames and he doesn't even need meter to do it. All he has to do is press back 2.
Huh. And then that's it for you after that, once you do get hit by that parry. But back to our players. Jules, with this Claudio, we've seen him pull this off a few occasions before. It didn't have the biggest impact when it comes to the matches. His Jin, his Marduk, and his occasional Bob has seen more success. But I find it I find it interesting that he opted to go for this character actually, but still quite understandable considering uh, the keep out options that he's been using to get Don Argus away from him in this situation.
And we've talked about how he does have a signature Jin, but we haven't seen it of all the 2 episodes that have aired for this the second season of Nationals. And I think the reason why is because since it's online, it's such a dangerous thing to play Jin, especially with the minuscule delay. You know, the risk of dropping is just way too huge, and especially like a character like Jin, where you just have to weather the storm out, just cannot waste any chances.
It while Tekken has gone a long way when it comes to its online gameplay, there are still some peculiarities to consider, and I guess that is in the mind of Jules as well. He also goes for some very tricky and execution heavy combos when it comes to Jin. So it does take quite a bit of effort to make that work, especially in an online environment. Going for the claw, something a little bit more simple and non-execution heavy. I like that decision from Jules, and it's working out so far.
It has, and talking about that as well, he's only thrown out the hot pick once, and when he did, it was at the perfect time. Like I mentioned, he has great mastery of space and, of course, timing. Just a very defensive-minded player all around, and which is surprising because in contrast to, of course, his previous coach, now turned teammate, and of course, brother 24/7. Pika, who is much more offensive-minded than Jules, does quite a lot of sneaky setups, likes to play with a lot of the minus frames, as we haven't seen too much of yet. But yeah.
We know that most probably his brother and teammate now is continuously whispering in his ear whenever there's a downtime. Maybe they're probably talking about how Don Argus might adjust his gameplay and how they're going to adjust accordingly in case that Don Argus does apply that kind of mentality coming into the next match. That's an advantage that I think the Smart Omegas do have, considering that they are brothers and they're living in the same household. So they do have each other during this match. It does help to have teammates around you just to guide you and put you on the right path when it comes to the game.
And on that note, it's also like, you ever have that feeling after a match, you just kind of think to yourself, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. And that's also the importance of having a coach where they can just point out what mistakes you could remedied in that match, or how quickly you've adjusted. But for those people at home just wondering, when is the Tekken action coming? Well, right now, everyone is just ensuring that everyone's going to have a great experience. The players are going to have a great experience. You, the viewers at home, have a great experience as well. So
yes, just making sure that here is the experience that you have been waiting for. Right, just a complete summon here from my co-caster, and now we're going back and Don Argus, as we expected, not going for the switch and instead sticking with the Eliza, but we are switching stages and it's going to be the Abandoned Temple.
Abandoned Temple has been one of the more problematic stages, I would say. Although it is a very beautiful stage and I enjoy it personally, but it has such weird angles that there's a lot of off-axis situations that you wouldn't normally have in other stages. But Jules starting off strong with 2 instant running 2s in a row.
Yeah, why not? Because if the opponent won't be ducking that anytime soon, you can just go for it continuously. And Don Argus already losing a chunk of his life, but still evening out the scores here with some attacks of his own. Now pressing too many buttons though, and getting hit by that on the side of Jules. Quick low string there from Jules and taking the first round immediately.
Don Argus has to remedy that kind of damage, has to be a bit more careful from the running too, but that Genocide Cutter is not going to connect on Argus with a very beautiful punish. Did not expend the meter though to go for something a bit bigger.
But he did expend it nonetheless, and now Argus has to build that up once again. Jules now going on the engage here, being very careful, trying to observe Don Argus, he's going in and out of range when it comes to this Eliza pick, but once he is inside and he's landing those hits, he is not stopping. And now Don Argus is just like that in the red. Jules with the sidestep, with the finish, and it's 2 rounds up for him.
And suddenly, Jules is in the driver's seat. It was such a close first set with these two, but Jules already taking a quick 2-round lead over Don Argus. Meanwhile, Don Argus does have quite a bit meter to work with if he can survive.
He certainly has, and he's about to get a second one in just a bit. As long as he manages to last that long, Jules is still trying to keep Don Argus away to great effect here, but still Don Argus getting those hits in with a proper range, and that EX deep dive kick is going to spell trouble for Jules.
And just immediately expending the second meter as well to bring him to the wall, and this looks like a round for Don Argus.
He's hanging in there. He wants that match. He does not want to go 2-0. He wants more points to his name just to keep climbing up on the rankings. Now there's a beautiful punish coming in from Don Argus. Catches him on the other side as well. Now he's going to get a good combo here. Will he be able to push to the wall? Not quite, but he does spend the meter to put on more pressure. Jules with a huge life deficit here. Don Argus with the advantage and a DP to finish things off. And now it's down to the final round.
And Don Argus really just keeping himself afloat here. Meanwhile, Jules trying to reconsider his plans. We've seen 2 instant running 2s from him, but so far after that, we haven't seen any at all.
Not quite yet. Being a little bit more careful, but Don Argus is taking advantage of the passiveness from Jules, just dealing so much damage. But Jules now landing his own hits, tracks him on the sidestep. Last chance for Don Argus here, but Jules, oh my goodness, does not see that massive snake edge, that massive low. It's gonna be troublesome. Both players in the red. Half a minute left on the clock. Both players with much distance between them, but Jules gets that hit and burns the raid drive to take things out. And now it's 2-0. Jules with the victory over Don Argus.